Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. Not a lot of cars, not a lot of commercials, not a lot of stuff, but you know what? There is definitely a lot of hard work and a lot of heart that goes into it. So I just want to share today with some of you all, whether you know them or not, just some of the people that influenced me to become not just a great father or a good father, but a decent man, a good man. So this one is, coming from the heart. And, one of the first ones, who's having a Heavenly Father's Day is PJ, my buddy Rayvon Sapp's dad. And, I remember he was one of the first ones to take us when their family would have trips going to amusement parks and stuff like that. When you're younger, especially during the summer, that's what you look forward to. And every year he did that. And, sometimes he was a little cheap, so he didn't want to walk. So he would say, he was like, hey, man, you know what? We need something. You guys look like three thirsty jokers. Me, you, and Ray, we got to get something to drink. So, and Ray, I know what I'm talking about. But much respect to him and thanks for what he did. Also, Mr. Allen, who is still living, of course, healthy and wealth. And but Mr. Allen was one of the first people, probably the first person who made sure that we were able to, even as kids, see rap concerts, be the first ones to see, like Chubb Rock and just different guys like that. When, I didn't think that I'd get a chance to see, any of these people. And then not only that, he was so connected. We were able to get pictures. We were able to go backstage. He had promo albums, like, of course, before CDs and all this other kind of stuff back in the 80s. And, he really allowed us to see that. And one good piece of advice he gave me, I remember one day we were sitting talking on the steps and I was like, well, you know how, Mr. Allen, sometimes you're in love, man. How can you control, yourself? How do you, because how girls, women, they'll drive you crazy. And we were probably in our 20s. And I remember he said, wait a minute, Greg, wait a minute. The one thing you can't do, you can't control anybody else. And you may not be able to control how you feel, but you should be able to control how you act. And I've always taken that with me over the last 30 years, because I think that was some of the best advice that I've gotten, even when, I find myself getting too emotional or too whatever. You might not be able to control how you feel, but you can control how you act, which is a major thing, because eventually, if you control how you act, your feelings, your emotions will subside and you'll start to think clearer again. So I appreciate him for that. Also, my buddy and my cousin Kev's best friend, Joel. Joel is a father and also a great stepfather. And it's a shame, in his 40s. And he passed away last year. And a year before last, and it's a sad thing, especially when you see somebody, and on top of that, that they're younger than you, and they don't get a shot to continue at life as far as being a father. But heck of a guy, and a really, really good guy. The Fields, two of guys that I went to school with, they both, Tyree and Terrell, both lost their parents younger. And, that was kind of like my first experience with somebody who I was close to, losing their parents at a young age. And the cool thing about both of them, especially Terrell's dad, was we would drive down to this one part of Virginia called Emporia or Broad Necks, somewhere down there. But anyway, and we went to this club. You ready for this? Called Mel Joe's. And their slogan was Meljo's, the place to be. So we went there, and the cool part about that was, it was kind of popping to me, especially to be the only club in the town. And but that was where the first time Mr. Fields, Terrell's dad, gave me moonshine. That was the first time I had ever had moonshine. So, I'm like 19, 20 years old, drinking this moonshine for the first time. And I'm just like, it tasted terrible. But guess what? It did the job. I went to Meljo's and had a time. You heard? Few other people. my homegirl, and every year she always, Nicole Carter. And one thing I noticed about her, every year she always, gives thanks to her dad, and just a heck of a person. Met Nicole when I was working at this place called the Northeast Treatment Centers, and once again, just a really, really good person. And I meant to say player, slipped, because when we played pickup games, she played for UMass. So like she was one of the only women that I had played against, and I was like, yo, the ball game was crazy. But want to wish her dad a happy Heavenly Father's Day also. And last two people, one, my homegirl, Tracy, her dad, although I never physically met her dad, the thing with her is that, stayed strong, because she, her dad had passed, but she would always tell me about how, she spent a lot of time with her dad, and her and her two sisters, and the fact, and I even asked her the other day, I said, well, how you feel? She said, well, it's tough, but, I'll get through it. And so, wishing him a happy Heavenly Father's Day. My buddy, Bob, Ronnie Price, he lost his dad some years ago, but I know that he still feels it, when dealing with that. Unfortunately, he just lost his mom too, so we got to pray for him. But also too, Mr. Price, only met him a couple of times, but you did a good job. Happy Heavenly Father's Day to him also. One other person, well, two other people. One, of course, I got to thank my own dad and granddad, because without them, guess what? I wouldn't be here. And although my grandfather has passed on many years ago, just the fact that he could raise that amount of kids, I think he's 7, 8 kids, 7, something like that. And, especially back then, trying to, buy a house and, do all of the other kind of stuff, still cook. He sang on the church choir, swing low. He had like the deepest voice, right? So him, and then of course my dad, because I learned a lot of stuff from him. One thing, being a better orator, first off, and then secondly, even learning how to tie a tie, and thinking that being presentable and in a suit was cool, because he was one of the only people I knew that every day he went to work in a suit. And, I really respected that. And a lot of times people would say, well, Dad, Greg, you know what I'm saying? Even in your license pictures, you wear a suit. And one of the reasons why I do that, even in my gun permit, even in my passport, is because, that picture is just a snapshot. But that snapshot has to last 4 years, 10 years, however long that license or passport is valid. So, when you pull that out, you might have a cap on, you may have a bandana on, but when you pull out that ID and a person looks at you dressed in that ID, they have to ask, well, who are you? And then you don't realize it. But in my experiences is that it's instant respect, and people tend to give you the benefit of the doubt, because they feel like, this person is obviously somebody great, because guess what? They took the time to look presentable, even just to take a picture. And even today, it's Father's Day, got one of my daughters with me. We're going to rock out and go get something to eat in a little while. But the thing is that just being able to still be a father, and I want to go into this second portion of it. A lot of guys, man, like all my guys, Carl, I got a lot of them written out. My two brothers, Malcolm and Sterl, my step pop Lou, my dad Greg, Ray, Mike, Ron, Rajib, my man Jake, who's like a father to his little goddaughter, my cousin Kev Smith, Kev Story, Don, Carl Williams, my homies down south, Willie Walker, Tyree Fields. Oh man, it's just so many just different people. Hold on, let me look, because I don't want to leave anybody out. My homie Rashid, Javon, still holding Belmont down. Appreciate it. And even my kid's grandfather, Kevin Mofield. Just a lot of different people. Happy Heavenly Father's Day to a great influence on me, Nathaniel Hatchett. still a good mentor and like an older big brother, Jeff Banks. So, I mean, the list can go on and on. But, I just wanted to take this time today to talk and give those people their flowers. And of course, I know I may have missed somebody, and I tried to think long and hard, because initially I was just going to come on and talk about, what it's like to be a father, and, how it has definitely changed my life for the better. I didn't have gray hairs before I met these kids, but that's okay, because that means I guess I got a little more wisdom. But things still continue. Although Father's Day is a great day and just a day in time, but it still has to be a day that we appreciate, and a day that we are able to say, hey, listen, you know what? We're not just fathers of our kids. Even if you happen to be one of these people out here listening that doesn't have a child, you still have to be a father to the community. You still have to be a father to other people's children, even sometimes when you may not want to be, because that's what it calls for. That's what the job calls for. And it calls for, a father, maybe like I said, even if it's not your own child, but a father of the community, a father, a person of strength, a person of positivity, and a person that can tell a person, hey, listen, this is what you need to do better. I need to see a little bit more of this from you. Because oftentimes a lot of stuff is left on the ladies, but ladies can't show a boy how to be a man, and they also should not be responsible for raising daughters by themselves. Because it is, how they say it takes a village, but guess what? Your village, that's why men are strong. That's why we have broad shoulders. Because we are the ones charged with making the attempt to keep the community safe, keep the community protected, keep the community thriving and moving in the right direction. Because let's face it, kids, especially as a young man, you start to feel a certain type of way, and you need that person that's going to say, nah, dog, chill it out. Cut it out for a minute, or I'm going to get in you. And then we're going to have to get down. So everybody out there, whether you're a father, whether you're a mother, whether there's a father that needs to hear this, whether you feel like this is your father, or guess what? If you wish it were your father, because we all know that in most cases, people fall short. A lot of us were raised without fathers, or at least without fathers regularly present the way they probably could have or should have been. But we still have to look forward. We still have to look forward and then pay it forward to other people that are younger than you, that still need a certain type of thing to look up to. Because as we've seen over the last, especially with social media and everything, we can't depend on our celebrities, because of course they're human the way we are. But most of them, or a lot of them, get caught up in, and because cameras are always on them, fights, doing crazy stuff, divorces going bad. So we can't depend on celebrities to make sure that the younger ones of us see positive role models and positive situations. It takes each one of us to say, hey, look, you know what? I'm just going to pattern good behavior, because maybe I was a little wild back in the day. But now, once again, like I always say, 35, 40, 45, I need to watch what I'm doing. I don't need to smoke weed while I'm walking down the street. Maybe I don't want my kid to smell that. I don't need to smoke weed every time I'm in the car. I don't need to cause a ruckus every time, things don't go my way. Because you see, I'm a man. And men stand. Men stand up straight with their chest out. And not only do that for their stature, they do that to say, hey, listen, I'm going to make sure that everything around here stays the way it's supposed to stay. I'm going to make sure things around here are functioning the way they're supposed to function. Because I'm a man. I'm a man first. I'm a man first. Then I'm a father. So to all of you out there Whether your father is still here on earth or not, reach out to him if you can. Talk to him. Do what you need to do. But the biggest thing is that while we are still here living as fathers, you be a father to the community, not just somebody because they're biologically linked to you. Do something good for somebody else. But guess what? It's Father's Day. Go do something good for yourself. Go treat yourself to a Big Mac if you don't got enough money to go down and get some lobster or some surf and turf or something like that. And hey, make sure whatever woman is in your life acknowledges you by just more than a card and a tie. Me, I probably won't get much today because, hey, that's the way it is. But hey, it ain't about me. It's about us. Have a good one. And you know how the saying goes. Live life. Don't let life live you.